Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran and I got some topics to discuss in today's video. Originally this video was mostly going to talk about the new time walking thing that has happened recently, where players were able to earn considerable XP just for doing time walking dungeons, which breathed some life into the content. Up until a hotfix came in, let us know that the issue has been corrected, where none of us saw an issue but rather the solution to what a fun questing experience from level 50 up could have been. We also have Brian Holinka chiming in a little bit about the expansion of the World of Warcraft team, primarily the PvP aspect, but there's also other positions that are being put up. He also did mention as a confirmation that this isn't to replace the active developers, but rather to expand an already existing team. And with some of the different roles that they're looking forward to, especially when it comes to classes, tuning, and PvP, it actually gets me quite excited since we do so much PvP stuff and class updates on this channel. Anyway, let's dive into today's topic. If you've done any of the time walking dungeons with this dungeon reset for TBC dungeons, since it is the TBC event, you probably would have noticed that you were earning a lot of XP. Originally, it was a post on Reddit with a picture, a screenshot of somebody earning 400,000 plus experience after finishing a dungeon and getting their character to level 60. Immediately, I got on with a friend to try to do some time walking dungeons, queue in on a fresh level 50 character, especially important that it was a fresh 50 character with not too much XP into the level 50, so that I could really see just how much experience you gained just for finishing a single dungeon. Going from 50 to 51 in one dungeon, you gained a whole level and a little bit extra, which means most players reported that they could get their character from 50 to 60 in about 6 to 7 to 8 dungeons in relatively quick time, because time walking dungeons are a little bit quicker than Shadowlands normal dungeons. But before you dive into time walkings right now, this has been hot fixed since. Sometimes people meme on Blizzard where they say fun detected and then they nerf things that are really fun. The time walking experience gains that you were able to get were insanely good. It was a massive increase, so of course it felt like it was a little bit silly, but to me it felt like, what if that's just a thing they're doing for time walking to maybe get more players to want to try out time walking, get your ults up and running. Remember before Shadowlands came out, they were doing the pre-patch event and they increased everyone's experience gains by a ton. Players were out in the open world spamming dungeons, everybody were questing and leveling, getting all their heritage armor, so I thought it was a similar event. Combined together, the time walkings have a variety of different dungeons. You have the Arcatraz, you have the Steam Vaults, you have the Mana Tombs, and they're so varied compared to the 4 dungeons of Shadowlands, the normal that you would spam. You're getting a bit of variety of dungeons from TBC era. With so many people getting funneled into time walking since everybody wanted to get that XP buff, and also you have players that are max level that want to get their 5 time walking dungeons done for the weekly event so they can collect some 226 raid gear. Just the amount of players getting funneled, like DPS queues were really quick, healer queues, tank queues were all really quick, and with so many people playing, I mean, there's always a group to run. Plus, all the time walking events are low item level or they have scaled item level, so it didn't really matter how geared your character is, everybody and anybody could join these. So it's a bit of a bummer that they decided to nerf it. I don't think the extra XP gains was intentional, but I honestly feel like they should have kept it. It was fun, it was quick, it was awesome, but if anything, I think this is where there should be some self-reflection in terms of what this Shadowlands 50 to 60 experience is. Shadowlands is an expansion, and I've leveled one of every character, is not the slowest questing experience. You can get your ults up and running, but wouldn't it be bad if it was just a little faster in some facet or another? Battle for Azeroth introduced faction assaults that gave your character for completing the faction assault lots of XP just for participating, but also 10% extra experience for an hour or two. And then later they brought in the ability for you to create leveling gear, same leveling gear you used to level for lower levels, that was now usable in Battle for Azeroth. So eventually they're going to add these things to Shadowlands anyway, but that would be another way of doing it. Make it so that during certain special events, players can get more experience. Another thing I think should be considered is open up more dungeons for us to do while leveling in Shadowlands. Right now we only get 4, 1 of each covenant: Plaguefall, Necrotic Wake, House of Atonement, as well as Mr. Asai. Add Spires of Ascension, Theater of Pain, Sanguine Depths, as well as The Other Side into the dungeon rotation. Being able to at least run through 8 different dungeons instead of 4 at least will create some variety because that's what's really cool about the time walking. You have the Arcatraz, then you have the Mana Tombs, then you're gonna go into Hellfire, Citadel, and it was really cool just the variety of dungeons you had, the variety of enemies you saw. It just kind of made the experience a little bit less of a slog. In a second bit of news, we have Holinka himself coming out on Twitter stating that there's a bunch of different positions open up for Blizzard. He also mentioned that this is an expansion of that team, not a replacement of any of the team members, which is really good to hear. For some of the positions, we have Senior Software Engineer for Tools, for Server, Senior Visual Development Artist for Environments, Quest Designer, Sound Designer, Content Designer, Software Engineer for the engine, but there are the 3 positions that most players have pointed out that are looking very, very interesting. That is the Class Combat Designer, Class Combat Designer Tuning, as well as Game Designer PvP content. For Class Combat Designer, that one makes sense, basically implementing classes and how will they play. In Shadowlands, for the most part, we saw classes get certain abilities and passives that they used to have from previous expansions, kinda an unpruning of our classes. They didn't really change, they just kinda went back to where they were from previous expansions. Certain cool niche abilities were added, but there were some redesigns like Shadow Priest for the most part, different mastery that fits his playstyle, which I feel like for the most part has been a good redesign, but there are a handful of specs in my opinion that still need a bit of rework, which honestly could be a video of its own. Then of course the tuning part makes sense, making sure that the math behind everything is all set in stone. But also the position of Game Designer PvP content, which says this position primarily focused on creating PvP focused content like arenas, battlegrounds, world PvP events, and what might come next. As long as it's not as ambitious as Ashwin, I'm actually excited about the ideas that a new PvP combat designer would be able to bring in. I would never say no to new battlegrounds. I feel like we've had the same battlegrounds for a while, and them adding new battlegrounds and trying new things is never a bad thing. I believe last time they added a new battleground was Seething Shore. Not everyone's favorite, but it was alright, it was serviceable. It's quite popular, especially for Alliance players. I see a lot of Alliance players queuing for that one specifically. But also the remake to Deepwind Gorge. The card system and the flag system, they redid it to be kind of like an Arathi Basin in a sense. Some people did enjoy the card playstyle, but I never did. I thought it was kind of unique, but I just never felt like it panned out. I felt like Demon Hunters and Fury Warriors Multiple Leaps were just dominating those battlegrounds, and it was really difficult to stop them too. So I do prefer the new version, and I thought they did a pretty good job with it. Either way, with all these job positions, I actually look at this very positively. I think this could be really good. Imagine if they really did get some fresh new blood in there, fresh ideas into the whole creative process, and adjusted the classes to play in the most bizarre, but maybe the most marvelous ways we've ever played before. Shadowlands brought the classes back to where they used to be, but going forward you will want to improve and adapt and make those classes evolve to be a better version than they ever could be. I mean, they used to make crazy things like change Combat Rogue to an Outlaw Rogue. They changed Hunter from a range spec to a melee spec, and that got through a lot of iterations. In Shadowlands, they did change up how priests play quite a bit, and going forward, who knows what else they're going to do. Overall, I'm actually excited. You never really know what this is going to end up being, or this change, or these changes going forward, how they might work out, but I'm actually very excited and looking very, very positively at this outlook. I'm hoping for the very best here, and I might even make some videos in the future of some of the class designs, some of the specs, because as I played so many classes nowadays, how some of them, like which ones needed some change, which ones should probably be looked at some point in the future, because there's a couple classes just with masteries that just don't really make that much sense that could totally be adjusted for better. But thank you guys so much for checking this video with these updates. Let me know what you think about everything we talked about in today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in the next one.